How you doing today? I am Diana. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about an experience that I just had over the last 3 weeks that I think bears relevance to the whole subject of staying away from alcohol. And basically, I don't want to say that I came close, but I never want to be arrogant enough to say that, oh, well, I could never do that again, and, because, I know I have it in me, so I'm just glad that I didn't. So, in any event, I've been working at this pro audio music store for the last 4 years, and I really, really liked it. I liked it enough to get really bad pay. But it was just an environment I was very comfortable in. I could dress how I want. Not want much for dress codes, but the other thing is, it's just a matter of I liked what I was doing. I was taking pictures on my smartphone, and I was using those to post eBay, Reverb, and even Facebook Marketplace. I was putting up ads for the owner of the store. And I was also there to just receive repairs, and they'd come by and pick them up, to take payment and all that kind of thing. So, I don't know, I just really liked it. I could listen to whatever I wanted all day within reason. Like, I'd usually put on, if people would walk in, which they didn't do all that much since, Christmas, basically. And I don't want to interrupt their shopping experience, so I put on something kind of cool and electronic, that was really soft. And it seemed to have a good result for people's browsing in any event. And, I don't know, I just really dug it. I dug it enough that I took the absolute minimum of pay, and that wasn't aging well, so to speak. So I was kind of in an uncomfortable comfort zone, if you know what I'm saying. Whew. And, looking back on it, it was definitely time to go. It was time for it to end, but 3 weeks ago was the first I had heard about my boss selling this building, as he's owner of it, and he called me on my day off, which I don't really like, but I called him back just in case, he couldn't find something that I left in the store or something. And he just told me, well, you might want to start looking for another job because I sold the building. And I was like, I went from being in this productive, active, running around happily mode to, feeling just decimated. Oh my goodness, I was just like, I can't believe this is happening, after 4 years. So, and now what am I going to find? And all these things started going through my head, right? Well, I ended up in bed very early that day with the window open so I could get some of that nice, warm spring breeze. And I just watched Netflix because I didn't know what else to do, man. And that was the kind of situation where it actually crossed my mind that if I were in a different situation, probably the first thing I'd do is go grab a bottle of Jack, right? Just anesthetize the feelings. But, I couldn't do that again after the experiences I've had. I had to leave this home of ours for 2 years to go to rehab, 4 months of incarceration, and sober houses. And I worked a couple different jobs back then. And, it just brought back the whole stress of, oh, I'm in recovery, and I've screwed this up and screwed that up, and I have a DUI felony. Thank God it's not any other kind of fella. But, it was 2 DUIs within a 10 years period. They're very strict about that in Connecticut. So I lost my license, I lost my wheels, I lost the home, and I lost our 3 dogs and Steve, my boyfriend. It was just really nightmarish, and my association cortex, which I talk about a lot, is going ding, 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 that kind of association with that kind of stress. Fortunately, I'm in a much more stable position now. It's not just me following orders from sober houses, a couple of which were really strict. I lived with a couple of different sober roommates after that, but neither one of them really worked out. So anyways, getting back to that whole feeling of, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. My amygdala's going off, and I'm feeling like this weight within me, it just pulled me down, And, yeah, if I didn't value my boyfriend, and I didn't value the dogs, and didn't value the things that I've become since, that would be different. maybe, and I was all by myself and stuff, I probably would have drunk something. But that just starts the whole thing cascading again, because no matter how I try or want, I cannot metabolize alcohol correctly. It will not turn from acetaldehyde to acetate like in a normal human being's body. It's mitochondria in the liver, from what I understand, and I've touched on this before. And, my goodness, I was just so overwhelmed and everything, and I just, surrendered, kind of put it in my higher power's hands, and I just lay there watching Netflix, it just hang in my head. I didn't know what to do. The next day I was a little better. I had 2 weeks left at the job, so I decided to make the most of it. And, not long after that, about a week into it, I've been looking at different jobs, calling a temp agency and that sort of thing. And my boyfriend got me a job. I mean, how lucky is that? A lot of things being about luck, and also just remaining positive. I couldn't believe it. It's no luxurious job, I'll tell you that much. But it's one I'm willing to do because I've done a lot of, dishwashing and food prep and making stuff in the past. So I figure, I'm the kind of person, like, one of the things I loved about the job, too, the Pro Audio store, is that I got to lift speakers. I could lift anything comfortably up to about 40 pounds. So that was great exercise. I also like to intermittent fast, which is something I never used to do back when I was a drunk, I just had drunkorexia, drink instead of eat. So, anyway, thank God I'm not doing that anymore. But, man, it was just the kind of thing where it's like day by day I just took it. I just stayed in the moment for however long that I could. And if I really felt bad, there was one point where I just had to lock the door at work because I burst into tears. And lock the doors, the front and the back, and just go into the bathroom for 5 minutes. I experienced something similar not long after that, a few days later when I was home, and found a lot of comfort from my dogs, because they can really tell, when you're jonesing. And, man, so I just had to hang in there. My boyfriend found me this job. I went and did the interview. Interview went well. I went and bought some clothes for the gig, and some super cool Skechers that have state-of-the-art anti-slip technology in the sole. That's how I would describe it, because it's better than some of the other shoes that I've had. Feels like the water isn't even underneath your feet. So the Skechers work shoes are great if you're looking at any sort of restaurant or deli work, whatever it is that you're comfortable doing. Alright, so that's just a synopsis. I'm going to talk a little bit now about the fact that my emotions are still pretty raw, I would say. I still feel my feelings. I feel them fully. I laugh heartily and I cry to myself sometimes. And cry to my dogs, It doesn't happen all that often, but things that are truly life-transforming, like anyone losing their job. It's going to be a real swift kick in the keys. So, I ended up having this roller coaster emotional ride for about 2 weeks. And that was about a week into, when I'd been told, and then another week when I interviewed for the job, and then I worked there. They put me on for 3 days. I had a great time running around, lifting these heavy pots and pans, helping out with glassware. Those things are heavy. I'm sure those of you that have been in the restaurant business, it's a workout. It's great. That's one of the fringe benefits of it. In fact, I'd say it's even a bit beyond fringe. It's the thing from which the fringe hangs. Alright, so, this ended up working out, and yesterday, after 3 weeks of being stressed, I actually had a day just for myself to let myself decompress completely. And it was one of the best decisions I made this week, was because now I feel a lot more productive again. I'm going to get into doing this and that. And my Etsy shop, Ancient Chargery, and guitars. I love playing guitars. I'm going to start teaching online lessons, saxophone, guitar, woodwinds, that sort of thing, even music theory. And, like yesterday was just such a jubilant feeling, like I had been going through this tunnel for 3 weeks. And, I saw a little pinhole of light, man. Little pinhole of light, and I said, if you just hang in there and don't screw everything up by picking up a drink and losing everything all over again, you know. If you just hang in there, it will get better. So I was listening to a lot of comedy, and I laughed a lot as a result of that because, you know, just really quality, good company. When you're just even listening to a comedy thing on YouTube or, you know, Netflix or whatever, which I did a lot. Like, I would do my work, but I had stuff playing in the background, be it music or more verbal subject matter, a variety of different topics. And yesterday was the first day that I felt okay enough to just let myself relax. I mean, I'm glad I put my pedal to the metal now and drove it like my stick shift vehicle, because every little thing that I did added up to the right thing. And that's where I think it's important, especially for this alcoholic in recovery, to sometimes all you can do is the next right thing. And that might include a Taco Bell burrito. That might include, you know, catching up on Stranger Things on Netflix that I missed because I've been busy. And, you know, just allowing myself to be with our little lovies dogs. We have 3 dogs that we love. And I was able to find a lot of solace in them, and also, you know, take them out for great walks and, you know, be silly with them and play fight and everything. I mean, to me, it's just a beautiful thing. That one day yesterday was the moment I walked out of this tunnel, man. Alcohol-free. Some of the things that keep me alcohol-free, as long as we're suddenly on that topic, I drank and I threw up enough, just alcohol, that when I smell alcohol, I become nauseous. Like, not seriously nauseous, but just a situation in which, I don't know, the smell of it just makes me sick. It's a blessing in disguise. And also just, you know, the fact that I said this before, I'll say it again, you know, now I have a car, I'm making car payments, and for the first year that I had that car, I had to have a breathalyzer in it. It's very expensive to go from no vehicle and just the bus being free for a while like it was, up till April 1st. You know, that's a lot to go from. It was a big adjustment, and I suddenly had to become extremely frugal. And it wasn't as bad as all that, I just mean compared to how I had been living, you know? So that was quite a sacrifice, and I just skimped and made sure I could pay these bills. I had a little help from Etsy, too, here and there. It was great. And, man, I really just have so much more to lose now. Before, I don't really think I had enough to lose. And definitely didn't have enough to lose to inspire me to stay that way. As I've mentioned before, I'm on a medication called citalopram, which is an antidepressant. But it's, you know, not like Prozac where it just turns your feelings off. I still feel my feelings. You know, it's not a high. It's just for the first time in my life I feel normal. You know? And that's an important thing to feel. That's the only way that I could get sober, was with the help of that medication. Now, I may not be on it forever, but time will tell. I'm doing well with it. And, you know, it's just helped me tremendously, because when you're legitimately, not just having a bad day, legitimately depressed, and there's something chemical going on with that. Now, they don't understand quite what that is yet, but they are working on it in a way that I'm rather impressed by. But the whole debate over serotonin, well, fuck, why take antidepressants? It's like, well, why stop doing something that works for me? You know? Like I say, it's not a high. It's not something like Valium. It's not something like Prozac, as I just mentioned. Not like any of that stuff. It's just a real balancer for me. And like I say, I may not be doing that forever, but it sure got me started, and sure got me, you know, a car, and the breathalyzer, and the things I needed to pay for. You know, for a while it was just peanut butter and jelly and ramen noodles. But I did it, and, you know, or I'd cook something for my boyfriend, he'd bring something home, and that would be when I had, like, you know, a little more substantial protein. But peanut butter's great that way. And, you know, certain cheeses as well. And if you're vegan, definitely the vegan versions of those. And if you're paleo, then maybe you want to do cashew butter. and that kind of thing. Like, these are just recommendations of how you can get by on less. I did it, and then a year later, I got that notice from the Department of Motor Vehicles said, you have fulfilled your breathalyzer requirement. I mean, I was dancing and I was jumping around. I was like, oh, because I thought it was going to be 3 years. It was 1 year. And wow, it just really, really made my day. And it was just a little while after that I was told that I had lost my job, so it was good timing, or that I had impending job loss. So, it's just been a real weird... I swear the last really happy day was Christmas. And just with my boyfriend and his family and our dogs and stuff. So, it was really just it's been a rough winter. Rough remainder of the winter. Sometimes you just gotta keep doing the very right next thing. The most appropriate thing that you could do. Because I found out the hard way when I didn't try enough to be sober. Oh, fuck it, I'll just have this nip. I'll get over this disease later. Oh, I'll just sneak alcoholic beverages around behind my boyfriend's back. He knew I was doing it. And, it was the kind of thing where it was like, he is very disciplined in his recovery. And he helps to inspire me to stay sober and productive. So some of the things that I thought about were, as I said, what I would have to lose going through this whole bullshit again. So, this is what I'm going to talk about now. I want to show you something. This is a pendant that I made. It's abalone, wire wrapped in copper, blue coated copper, and antique copper. Looks a little bit different here, as people oftentimes say when they're filming. This is the third pendant I ever made. I have been a professional musician for a number of years, but it was time to get away from that because I can't even go into a bar now. I just won't do it. I've had too many bad experiences where that turned out to be just the wrong move, and I would just be off and running again, man. Because I actually told them I'd feel so good, basically. The part that's supposed to be processed, you drink less. It's abundant in my brain if I drink, and it's just really bad news, man, really bad news. So I ended up starting a jewelry business because I went into a New Age store, couldn't afford any of the pendants, and found this really two awesome pieces of peacock ore, or bornite. I do believe they're a little different. And I had a piece of citrine, yellow, big chunk of it. So I saw the wire and I saw everything else, and I said, well, why don't I try doing this? A friend of mine had made me a piece using the wire wrap technique, and I saw how it was twisted together and kind of put around there. So rather than buying some expensive piece of jewelry, I bought the wire that they had there. I bought a couple of stones I really liked that I wanted to wear hanging there. And then I bought some very cheap tools. Like plier sets and that sort of thing, cutters. Just the cheapest stuff I could find. And for fun, I also got 22 gauge multicolor wire, which is a lot. It's a great thing to experiment with if you want to get into wire wrapping, but we'll talk about that in another video. So, I ended up going home to the roommate I was with at that time, and we were just sitting talking. And I was twisting the wire trying to experiment, and lo and behold, I had a piece. Albeit a little crude, but it was still a good piece, and I started making more and more pendants and finding more and more stones at this little New Age place. And man, that just saved me. Getting into that kind of art, which to me, I mean, when you think of a fence or someone who mends fences, you can see that is being repaired if they have holes in it, right? Some people are paid to go around and mend fence holes so animals can't get out and that sort of thing. And in twisting wire together, it was kind of like bringing two things together and then bringing it around a certain way, twisting it again, bringing it around a certain way, twisting it again. I became instantly hooked on it. It was like the greatest thing I have always wanted to make jewelry, and I tried, but I got discouraged years ago. And then I got very into, my music for a while, playing a lot of gigs, and, coming home and pressing guitar. Because I majored in music, and it's definitely one of my fires. But art is also a fire. Catch that fire, man. Whatever you love to do. I don't care if you're a gearhead. I don't care if you're into skateboarding. None of that matters. And, some people get really into the bicycle thing, and they look like they're Tour de France. And it could just be any number of things. I've noticed quite a few people like to knit in AA meetings. And I think that's really awesome, man, because it's quiet, little click, putting something together. And I started going to the library and looking up tutorials, and I'd be doing the tutorials there on the table in the library. And, man, it's just been a life-transforming thing. I would lose that if I drank. It would just all go out the window, and I wouldn't care, and I'd be more discouraged than ever, because it's so important to have a level of confidence in life. And since I got sober, I not only got into this wire wrapping thing and study and develop more techniques surrounding it, I also got into hemp, and I'll show you this. This is a lovely little piece of hemp that I wove. Or it's a lovely piece of fluorite, is what I'm trying to say. And I wove it in hemp. And I just really like that. And it's similarly to the wire wrapping. You're literally mending something, so to speak. And for me, it's like mending my spirit, my broken spirit, and my heart. I've just been building things back all along. And I've been doing this the last 5 years. And, I couldn't have asked for a better thing. Kind of thing that, makes me thank my higher power every day. And, your higher power could be science. It's okay. It's still, to me, that's still spirituality, because spirit is defined as the animating force within us, right? So, I just got to a point where it became bigger and bigger part of my life. I had my own website for 6 months, didn't really go anywhere, but I do recommend Wix. They have nice stuff with which to build a beautiful website. And I can only imagine in the past 5 years it must have gotten better. I ordered some cards on Vistaprint. I decided to try going live with Etsy. Oh my goodness. Talk about stress. Talk about being nervous. Talk about, there's a lot of competition there. But the way I see it and what I believe is that there's enough for everybody. And, that has proven to be the case. Where I've been able to make a little bit of money, It's not all about the money. It's about, taking the time to do something I love and packaging it up a certain way, wrapping it in a lot of bubble wrap, tissue paper, and having it in a little gift bag for people and sending a free gift. So, I usually make a bracelet. And I love making stretch bracelets, and I got a great video on that. Getting back to the subject matters. It became a business. The first time I'd ever run my own business. I used to teach for money, and I used to play gigs for money, and I will probably start teaching again, and that's where it seems to be heading. Just, no gigs. No, nothing like that. I love Facebook Live because I see some of my friends who play in bars, and I'll be just chilling at home. One day I was dancing with our dogs. It was just cute and silly and all the things that make your heart big. At least my heart big, right? And, it so helped me to successfully transform an aspect of my life. And also, I realized, once I really was able to stay away from alcohol, once that really became something within my control, and I do feel it's largely due to the citalopram. Not entirely, because I have had moments over the past 5 years where I wanted to drink anyway. So it's not blotting out your feelings, I swear. But it's helped me a lot, and I realized that even though I majored in saxophone, and talk about luck, I studied with Jackie McLean and Kenneth Rodnowski, who respectively very highly esteemed in jazz and classical saxophone, which is a bigger thing in Europe and Japan than it is here. But I feel it's growing a little more all the time. At least on the underground. And, I just went to college wanting to play saxophone. I couldn't imagine doing anything else, and I was a pretty stubborn one, But what I've come to realize in my 50s is that and I've been 50 for 5 years now. It's pretty cool. I've never been happier. Honest to my higher power. I have never been happier. And, getting back and regaining my train of thought at the moment, I realized that I like guitar better. It's particularly electric. Virtuosic metal kind of stuff is what I'm trying to learn a little bit at a time. I've had a few teachers in my life, the first of which was my Uncle Naren. God bless you, Naren. I love you. Thank you for teaching me guitar. And I just realized that the more I knew about myself and the more I was responding to those needs, it's like, yeah, guitar. So for the past 4 years, I've been back into playing guitar with all these cool effects and stuff, and I got some other videos about that. But I discovered all these things about myself. Because when I was relapsing back in 2014, my boyfriend was just like, you need to find the thing that you like better than drinking. And I did. I found 2 things I like way better than throwing up all the time and giving myself terrible hangovers and shaking so much that I couldn't go without a drink for an hour. It's a torturous, terrible way to live. And I just found some things. I have bigger love for myself, and therefore bigger love for others. I mean, everyone has their moments, right? But to be perfectly honest, I just so glad that I am able to have these things. Real stuff to lose. Not that the gigs weren't something to lose, but I wasn't doing too great with those at the end of that line. There was a time when I was a functioning alcoholic doing all this stuff, but that really unraveled. And when I started drinking again after a couple of years in 2014 rather, I found myself just slipping back into it. And it was as if I had never stopped. And they say that, and physiologically it's true. Psychologically also. Physically, definitely. But when I went to rehab back in 2014, and I went of my own volition because I had had it. I had been tripping on DTs in the hospital for 5 days. Whew. So I needed to get control. I needed to love myself enough to do this. And sometimes fake it till you make it, man. I had put on, I was 167 pounds. So I had put on 12 pounds just from alcohol. And now I'm down to, $120. That's a really cool thing because I have small bones, not the widest of shoulders. I have small fingers, small toes, and, I'm 5'4". So, it's just the kind of thing where it's like, no, I'm not anorexic. Like, sometimes people are either making jokes, they're like, you need to gain some weight. But I'm just a small-boned individual. So, I do some intermittent fasting. I eat 2 meals a day. Stuff like this, man, I never used to do. I would be eating stuff, healthy stuff, but then I'd turn around and drink and just, kill all the bacteria in my colon. And just make myself sick, man. Undoing everything I was trying to do that was constructive. And constructivity, if in fact that's a word, is an extremely important part for me of staying away from alcohol. Alcohol-free. And it's such a beautiful thing to be able to say. This whole last experience where I had the job and, didn't have a job, and then I did have a job, and then I was trying to prove to them that I was a good and active worker, and it worked. It was awesome. And, I got more money as a result. So far, so good. So staying in that moment and doing the next right thing and calling people and talking to people. And, I'm close with a lot of people on Facebook, for instance, and we all support each other and stuff. It's really cool. So, only because, I can call myself out on my own BS. I share these things with all my friends and family. Stresses I'm going through. These people help me from a remote distance. People as far as the UK were encouraging me. And saying the most beautiful things to help me to hang in there. And I was just like, yeah, you're right. It's okay. There's no reason to think that I wouldn't be able to find something because the hiring market is good now. So if you're looking for a job, go for it. Here in 2023, A lot of people hiring. It may not be the ideal job, but if you can go home and still be a gearhead, or come home and still make hemp jewelry or polymer clay jewelry or that beautiful stuff where they take upcycled leather and hemp and they make like a Native American looking kind of thing or Cro-Magnon looking kind of thing, arrowheads, which I love to do. Anyway, the next right thing. Okay, my job sucks. Take that frustration home and do your thing. And you will value it so much more, you as in general. For me, I valued it so much more. And I was able to, just take all the frustration of this really bitchy lady who just has a reputation at this fast food joint. It's an upscale fast food joint nonetheless, but she would just, verbally abuse everybody and grabbed my hand at one point. I was shocked. So I stayed on the job, but I reported it. And things were okay after that, but she still felt this need to, embarrass me and other people in front of everybody. To the point where customers would say stuff, like defending us. So I got really good at that job. And I, was able to establish my place there, but after a while it just became too much. And I left and went to the music store where I worked for 4 years. But I would take that frustration home from that fast food gig, and I would put it all into my Etsy shop and my jewelry and all that good stuff, So you can take this stuff and kind of burn a fire within yourself and keep that fire going, and honor your inner creative fire. Regardless of what you do. Hey man, if your thing is Xbox, absolutely. If your thing is Wii, virtual reality, if that's something that you can do to help you stay away from booze, by all means, because I ain't here to judge anybody, man. And I'm not a medical professional. I don't give medical advice. I just try to make things happen, and I try to share these things with people, because if I had known some of this stuff before, maybe I would have put it just a little more effort into it instead of surrendering. Wrong kind of surrendering when I surrender to booze. Right kind of surrender where I wave a white flag and just say, I need your help. I need people's help. I need people to know me and tell me that they love me and appreciate me. We all need that, and I love you. If you're going through this problem right now, please just keep doing the next right thing. I can't tell you what to do. I can't stand here and lecture anybody. But man, the transformation that I have felt, it's like they say in AA. My worst day in sobriety is still a lot better than my best day in drunkenness. Alright, so I'm going to wrap it up there. Once again, I love you. Bless. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And if you heard anything you like in here, please click and subscribe. I'm not monetized. I'm doing this from here to kind of contribute to my own abstinence from alcohol, and then also to promote my business a little bit. So it's free. So, all right. So I hope you have a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, morning, whatever time of day it is, and hang in there. You can do it. If I could do it, anybody could do it. All right. Bless up.